The rusty gate creaked open with a mournful groan, its rusty hinges protesting the intrusion. 18-year-old Maya, her backpack slung over one shoulder, pushed it wider, stepping into the overgrown clearing. Sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy of towering pines, casting the Whispering Pines campground in an unsettling twilight. Maya's friends, Emily and Ben, hesitated at the entrance. "Are you sure about this?" Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper. Whispering Pines had a notorious reputation, a place abandoned years ago after a series of accidents. Ben, usually the adventurous one, seemed equally apprehensive, his gaze flitting nervously through the shadows. "Relax," Maya said, forcing a smile. "It'll be an adventure. Besides, campsites are half off this weekend." She wasn't entirely truthful. The real reason she'd chosen this abandoned campground was the persistent rumors of a ghostly little girl who lingered among the Whispering Pines. As a budding writer with a penchant for the paranormal, Maya found the allure irresistible. They picked a campsite nestled amongst the trees, a circular clearing with a crumbling fire pit in the center. As they pitched their tent, the silence pressed down on them, broken only by the mournful sigh of the wind through the pines. An unsettling feeling prickled at Maya's skin, a sensation of being watched. Nightfall arrived swiftly, plunging the campground into an inky blackness. They huddled around a crackling fire, the flickering flames casting grotesque shadows on the surrounding trees. Emily shivered despite the rising heat. "Do you hear that?" she whispered, her eyes wide. A faint sound, almost imperceptible, drifted through the air. It was a child's voice, a soft, mournful melody that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere at once. Ben scoffed. "Just the wind," he muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. The whispers grew bolder, weaving a chilling song through the night. The melody tugged at Maya's heart, filled with a profound sadness. She felt an inexplicable urge to follow it, to find the source of the voice. Ignoring the protests of her friends, she ventured deeper into the woods, the firelight fading behind her. The whispering led her to a dilapidated cabin, its porch sagging and windows boarded shut. An unsettling aura clung to it, a cold emptiness that sent shivers down her spine. Ignoring her better judgment, Maya reached for the rusted doorknob. It yielded with a deafening creak. Inside, the air hung heavy with dust and the scent of mildew. Moonlight streamed through a broken window, illuminating a dusty rocking chair that creaked back and forth in an empty corner. The chilling melody seemed amplified within the cabin, pulling Maya towards a small, closed door at the back. Hesitantly, she pushed it open. The room was bathed in an ethereal glow, emanating from a small, ornately carved music box on the floor. As Maya reached for it, the whispering intensified, swirling around her in a whirlwind of sorrow. A ghostly figure materialized before her, a young girl with wispy hair and eyes filled with a bottomless sadness. The girl held out a hand, a silent plea. Intuition flooded Maya. The girl wasn't malevolent. She was lonely, trapped within the confines of the cabin and the endless loop of her mournful song. With a trembling hand, Maya opened the music box. The melody changed, a bittersweet lullaby replacing the mournful tune. The ghostly girl smiled, a flicker of peace replacing the sorrow in her eyes. The light in the room dimmed, and the girl slowly faded away. Maya stepped back, relief washing over her. She had finally laid the restless spirit to rest. Emerging from the cabin, a newfound sense of tranquility enveloped the campground. The Whispering Pines were silent now, replaced by the gentle chirping of crickets. Maya returned to the campsite, a strange sense of accomplishment warming her chest. The next morning, they packed up their camp, leaving the Whispering Pines campground behind. As they drove away, Maya glanced back at the towering pines. They no longer seemed menacing, but rather serene, bathed in the golden light of the rising sun. The ghostly girl was finally at peace, and Maya knew she would never forget the night she silenced the whispers in the pines. The salty air hung heavy as Sarah and her friends, Liam and Chloe, pulled into the dusty parking lot of Gull Cove Beach. Abandoned for years, the once bustling amusement park stood like a skeletal monument to forgotten summers. Rusting roller coasters clawed at the sky, and peeling paint flaked from the boarded-up facades of carnival games. Sarah, a budding photographer with a fascination for the forlorn, had spearheaded this impromptu exploration. Liam, ever the skeptic, grumbled about wasting a perfectly sunny afternoon. Chloe, however, shared Sarah's sense of adventure, her eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The weathered entrance gate creaked open with a mournful groan as they pushed past. Silence, broken only by the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore, pressed down on them. Sun-bleached carousel horses seemed to leer from their frozen positions, and a faded clown painted on a cracked mirror stretched its painted lips in a grotesque grin. As they ventured deeper, Sarah felt a prickle of unease crawl up her neck. The air grew colder, despite the afternoon sun. A faint scent of salt water and mildew clung to their clothes. Suddenly, a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye caught her attention. A flash of white against the peeling paint of a fortune-teller's booth. There, nestled in a dusty corner, sat a little girl. Her white dress, once bright and festive, hung limp-lie from her frail frame. Long dark hair obscured her face, and she sat perfectly still, her back to them. Sarah felt an inexplicable tug at her heart, a sense of overwhelming sadness emanating from the figure. "Hello," Liam called out, his voice echoing through the deserted park. The girl remained motionless. Sarah, her curiosity outweighing her fear, cautiously approached. As she drew closer, a cold wind whipped through the booth, rattling the dusty curtains and sending shivers down her spine. The girl turned, revealing a face as pale as the moonlight, her eyes two bottomless pools of sorrow. A single tear rolled down her cheek, leaving a dark streak against her ghostly pallor. Sarah gasped, taking a step back. The girl held out a hand, her touch sending a jolt of icy energy through Sarah. Memories flooded Sarah's mind. A churning sea, a frantic scream, a child's doll bobbing in the waves. A long-forgotten news story about a little girl who vanished from Gull Cove Beach years ago, presumed drowned. This spectral child was a fragment of that tragedy, forever trapped in the place where her life ended. Sarah understood. This wasn't a malevolent spirit, with a lost soul yearning for peace. She knelt before the girl, pulling out her camera. "Let me help you," she whispered, focusing the lens and capturing the ethereal image of the sorrowful child. As the shutter clicked, a warm light filled the booth, washing away the spectral chill. The girl smiled, a flicker of gratitude replacing the sadness in her eyes. The light intensified, blinding Sarah momentarily. When she opened her eyes again, the booth was empty. Leaving the amusement park behind, they walked towards the beach, the setting sun painting the sky in vibrant hues. Sarah reviewed the photo on her camera. The little girl, no longer a ghost, but a vibrant figure, laughing and playing on the shore. The image pulsed with a faint light, a final farewell from the spirit finally at peace. The weight lifted from Sarah's chest as they left Gull Cove Beach. The abandoned park no longer held dread, but a bittersweet memory. Sarah knew she wouldn't forget the day she helped a lost soul find its way home, a testament to the power of empathy, even in the face of the unknown. The image on her camera served as a constant reminder. Sometimes, the most chilling sights hold the most profound stories. The rusted swing set creaked a rusty lullaby as Ethan and Maya pushed open the rickety gate of Camp Nightingale. Abandoned for decades, the once joyful summer camp now stood as a skeletal monument to forgotten childhoods. Overgrown paths snaked through tangled weeds, and peeling paint flaked from the boarded-up cabins like leprous skin. Ethan, a self-proclaimed pragmatist, scoffed at Maya's fascination with the eerie place. "It's just an old camp," he grumbled, kicking at a fallen log. Maya, however, shivered with a delicious mix of fear and excitement. A local legend spoke of a ghostly counselor, the Whistler, who roamed the camp at night, forever searching for lost campers. As the afternoon sun dipped below the tree line, casting long skeletal shadows, a strange unease settled over them. The silence was broken only by the mournful hoot of an owl and the rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth. They ventured deeper, Ethan clinging to a bravado that seemed to be wearing thin. Suddenly, a chilling melody echoed through the trees, a mournful whistle, rising and falling like a lament. Ethan jumped, his face pale. Maya, her heart pounding, felt a strange pull towards the sound. "Let's just get out of here," Ethan pleaded, but Maya was already moving forward, drawn by an unseen force. The whistle led them to a clearing where a lone campfire pit smoldered, casting an eerie orange glow. Perched on a nearby log sat a figure cloaked in shadow. As they approached, the figure turned, revealing a young man with a hollow gaze and a ghostly pallor. He wore a tattered camp counselor uniform, a silver whistle dangling from his neck. The air grew colder, and the whistle let out a long, mournful wail. Ethan stumbled back, fear etched on his face. But Maya felt a strange sense of empathy. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The figure tilted his head, a flicker of sadness in his translucent eyes. Then, fragmented memories flooded Maya's mind. A raging fire, panicked screams, a young boy desperately searching for his counselor. A news article from decades ago, long forgotten, surfaced, a deadly blaze that ripped through Camp Nightingale, claiming the life of a young counselor and several campers. This spectral figure wasn't a malevolent spirit, but a lost soul, forever bound to the place where his life ended. Maya understood. He wasn't searching for lost campers. He was searching for peace. She knelt before him, pulling out a small, hand-carved whistle she carried as a childhood memento. "Let me help you find your way," she whispered, blowing a soft, comforting melody on her whistle. The ghostly counselor stared at her, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. As the last note faded, a warm light filled the clearing, pushing back the spectral chill. The counselor smiled, a genuine smile filled with gratitude. The light intensified, blinding them momentarily. When they opened their eyes, the clearing was empty. Only the faint scent of pine and smoke lingered in the air. Leaving Camp Nightingale behind, they walked towards the setting sun, the sky ablaze with vibrant colors. Ethan, shaken but oddly relieved, looked at Maya with a newfound respect. "How did you do that?" he whispered. Maya smiled. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." The abandoned camp no longer held dread, but a bittersweet memory. Ethan knew he wouldn't forget the day they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of empathy even in the face of the unknown. And Maya, clutching her small whistle, felt a strange warmth bloom in her chest, a reminder that sometimes the most chilling lullabies can lead to the most peaceful goodbyes. The rhythmic crash of waves against the pier pilings provided the only soundtrack as Amelia and Ben navigated the creaky wooden walkway. Salty air whipped at their faces, carrying with it the mournful cry of gulls and the unsettling scent of brine and decay. They were headed towards the abandoned Ferris wheel at the far end, a skeletal silhouette against the blood-red sunset. Amelia, a budding journalist with a penchant for the unexplained, had been drawn to the deserted amusement park by whispers of a ghost in the gears. Ben, ever the skeptic, scoffed at the local legend. "Probably just the wind playing tricks," he muttered, gripping the rickety railing a little tighter. As they neared the Ferris wheel, the air grew colder, despite the oppressive heat of the day. Shadows stretched long and grotesque, and the once vibrant paint on the rusted gondolas peeled like leprous skin. A sudden gust of wind sent a shiver down Amelia's spine, rattling the metal gears with an unearthly groan. "Hear that?" she whispered, her eyes glued to the silent cabins. Ben shrugged, but his face was pale. Then a chilling melody echoed through the deserted park. A slow, mournful waltz carried on the wind. It seemed to emanate from the very heart of the Ferris wheel, its rusted gears seemingly grinding out the tune. Driven by a morbid curiosity, Amelia took a hesitant step forward. Ben grabbed her arm. "Don't be stupid," he hissed. But Amelia couldn't resist the pull. The music, melancholic yet strangely hypnotic, beckoned her closer. As she approached the base of the Ferris wheel, the gears began to turn with a slow, creaking grind. One of the cabins, long dormant, lurched forward, coming to a stop just in front of Amelia. A figure materialized within the dusty window, a young woman with a flowing white dress and eyes filled with an endless sadness. The music intensified, the mournful melody wrapping around Amelia like a cold shroud. Memories flooded her mind. A carnival accident, a malfunctioning Ferris wheel, a young woman trapped and crushed. This spectral figure wasn't a malevolent spirit, but a soul forever bound to the place where her life ended. Amelia understood. This wasn't a vengeful ghost. It was a lost soul yearning for release. Reaching into her backpack, she pulled out her harmonica, an instrument she'd always carried, but rarely played. Taking a deep breath, she began to play a comforting melody, a slow and gentle counterpoint to the mournful waltz. The spectral woman stared at her, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. As the music mingled, a sense of peace settled over the abandoned park. The gears of the Ferris wheel turned slower, the mournful groan replaced by a soft whirring. The woman smiled, a sad smile tinged with gratitude. The music faded, and a soft light emanated from the cabin, pushing back the spectral chill. The woman, her form shimmering, slowly faded away, leaving behind an empty gondola and the faint scent of lilies. Amelia lowered her harmonica, tears welling up in her eyes. Leaving the park behind, they walked towards the town, the sky ablaze with vibrant colors. Ben, silent and contemplative, finally spoke. "What did you see?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Amelia smiled, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction playing on her lips. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." The abandoned amusement park no longer held the same dread, with a bittersweet memory. Both Amelia and Ben knew they wouldn't forget the day they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of compassion even in the face of the unknown. And Amelia, clutching her harmonica, held on to the melody that had soothed her restless spirit, a melody that would forever be a reminder of the ghost in the gears. The peeling paint on the Camp Sunshine sign flicked off like autumn leaves as Ava and Noah pushed open the rusted gate. Overgrown paths snaked through a wilderness of wildflowers, and the cabins, once vibrant with summer laughter, stood silent and skeletal against the twilight sky. Local legend spoke of a weeping willow, a restless spirit said to haunt the abandoned camp. Ava, a budding filmmaker with a thirst for the paranormal, was determined to capture it on camera. Noah, her ever-rational friend, trailed behind, muttering about wasting a perfectly good summer night. As darkness descended and unsettling stillness settled over the camp, the air grew thick and unseen creatures rustled through the undergrowth. The only sound was the rhythmic creak of a swaying willow tree, its branches reaching out like skeletal fingers in the fading light. Ava, her initial enthusiasm dampened by the oppressive atmosphere, shivered despite the warm summer night. Suddenly, a mournful cry echoed through the trees, a sound that sent shivers down Ava's spine and made Noah grab her arm instinctively. It was a woman's lament, filled with a profound sorrow, and it seemed to emanate from the very heart of the weeping willow. Driven by a morbid curiosity, Ava pointed her camera towards the ancient tree. "Let's check it out," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the pounding of her heart. Noah, his face etched with fear, protested, but Ava was already striding forward, her cameraman instincts kicking in. As they approached the willow, the air grew colder, and the spectral cries intensified. Suddenly, a wispy figure materialized amidst the weeping branches, a woman clothed in a tattered white nightgown, her face obscured by long dark hair. She let out a heart-wrenching sob, her sorrow palpable even in the fading light. The sight sent a jolt of fear through Ava, but something held her back from running. Memories flooded her mind. A news report from decades ago, a fire that ravaged Camp Sunshine, a young counselor who perished in the blaze. This wasn't a malevolent entity. It was a lost soul forever bound to the place where she died. Ava understood. This apparition wasn't seeking revenge. It was yearning for solace. She lowered her camera and spoke in a gentle voice. "We're here to help you find peace." The spectral woman turned towards her, a flicker of surprise in her ghostly eyes. Reaching into her backpack, Ava pulled out a small music box carved from willow wood, a childhood memento she always carried. As she cranked the handle, a soothing melody filled the air, a gentle lullaby that seemed to resonate with the swaying branches of the willow. The spectral woman tilted her head, listening intently. The mournful cries subsided, replaced by a sense of serenity that washed over the abandoned camp. As the music box played, a warm light emanated from the weeping willow, pushing back the spectral chill. The woman smiled, a sad smile tinged with gratitude. The music faded, and the light intensified momentarily. When Ava opened her eyes, the clearing was empty. Only the gentle rustle of the willow leaves and the faint scent of lilies remained. Ava felt a lump form in her throat and tears well up in her eyes. Leaving the camp behind, they walked towards the town, the moon casting a silvery glow on the path. Noah, silent for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What happened?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Ava smiled, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction playing on her lips. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Camp Sunshine no longer held the same dread, but a bittersweet memory. Both Ava and Noah knew they wouldn't forget the night they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of empathy, even in the face of the unknown. And Ava, clutching her willow wood music box, held on to the melody that had soothed her restless spirit, a melody that would forever be a reminder of the weeping willow. The cicadas buzzed a relentless symphony as Lily and Daniel pushed through the overgrown entrance of Blackwood Manor. The once grand Victorian mansion loomed before them, its paint peeling like leprous skin and windows dark as empty eyes. Local legend whispered of a singing mirror, a cursed antique rumored to trap lost souls within its reflective surface. Lily, a budding musician with a fascination for the macabre, was determined to find it. Daniel, her cautious best friend, trailed behind, muttering about the wisdom of staying home. As dusk settled, casting long skeletal shadows across the overgrown lawn, an unsettling silence descended. The only sound was their own footsteps crunching on the gravel path, and the mournful hoot of an owl from somewhere in the distance. Lily, despite her bravado, felt a shiver crawl up her spine. They entered the crumbling mansion, the air thick with dust and the scent of decay. Sunlight streamed through broken windows, illuminating cobweb-draped furniture and peeling wallpaper that hung like tattered skin. Each creak of the floorboards and groan of the ancient house amplified the oppressive atmosphere. Guided by a flickering flashlight, they navigated a labyrinth of dusty hallways and empty rooms. Lily, her curiosity piqued, searched every nook and cranny, her eyes scanning for the legendary mirror. Finally, deep within the west wing, they stumbled upon a grand ballroom. Moonlight streamed through a gaping hole in the roof, illuminating a solitary object in the center of the room, a massive ornately carved mirror, its surface clouded with age. Lily felt a strange pull towards it, a prickling sensation on her skin. As she approached, the air grew colder, and a faint melody filled the room, a mournful piano piece, hauntingly beautiful yet filled with a profound sadness. The music seemed to emanate from the mirror itself, the reflection rippling with an unnatural light. Lily, mesmerized, reached out and touched the cold glass. A jolt of energy shot through her, and a spectral image materialized within the mirror. A young woman in a flowing gown, her eyes filled with an endless sorrow. Memories flooded Lily's mind, a tragic fire, a forgotten melody, a young pianist forever trapped within the confines of the mirror. This wasn't a malevolent spirit, it was a lost soul yearning to be heard. Lily understood. This wasn't a cursed artifact. It was a sorrowful echo of a life cut short. Pulling out her phone, she opened a music recording app. Taking a deep breath, she began to play a piece she had recently composed, a melancholic melody infused with a flicker of hope. As the music filled the room, the spectral woman in the mirror turned towards her, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. The mournful piano piece faded, replaced by the gentle strains of Lily's music. A warm light emanated from the mirror, pushing back the spectral chill. The woman smiled, a sad smile tinged with gratitude. The music faded, and the light intensified momentarily. When Lily opened her eyes, the mirror was empty. Leaving Blackwood Manor behind, they walked towards the sunrise, the first rays of light chasing away the night shadows. Daniel, speechless for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What happened?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Lily smiled, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction playing on her lips. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Blackwood Manor no longer held the same dread, but a bittersweet memory. Both Lily and Daniel knew they wouldn't forget the night they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of music to reach even the most hidden corners of the heart. And Lily, clutching her phone with the recording of her music, held on to the melody that had soothed her restless spirit, a melody that would forever be a reminder of the singing mirror. The rusted sign proclaiming Camp Whisperwood groaned in the wind as Erin and Matt pushed through the overgrown entrance. Years of neglect had transformed the once joyous summer camp into a skeletal monument to forgotten childhoods. Cracked cabins huddled together like forgotten secrets, and the jungle gym stood silhouetted against the blood-red sunset like a skeletal claw. Local legends spoke of a boy in the fog, a restless spirit said to roam the camp at dusk, forever searching for a lost friend. Erin, a budding writer with a penchant for the paranormal, was determined to capture the essence of the legend. Matt, ever the pragmatist, scoffed at the notion. "Just creepy campfire stories," he muttered, his voice barely audible over the rhythmic chirping of crickets. As twilight descended, an unsettling stillness settled over Camp Whisperwood. The playful chatter of birds was replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the mournful hoot of an owl. The air grew colder, and a thick fog rolled in, swallowing the dilapidated cabins in its swirling embrace. Erin shivered, the prickling sensation on her skin a stark contrast to the oppressive heat of the day. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the fog, a young boy, no older than 12, his clothes tattered and his eyes filled with a profound sadness. He held out a small, rusted compass, his voice barely a whisper. "Have you seen him?" Erin felt a jolt of empathy pierce through her initial fear. Memories flooded her mind. A news report from decades ago, a group of campers caught in a sudden fog, a young boy separated from his friend, never to be seen again. This wasn't a malevolent spirit. It was a lost soul yearning for closure. Erin understood. This apparition wasn't seeking vengeance. It was searching for a friend, forever lost in the swirling embrace of the fog. Reaching into her backpack, she pulled out a worn copy of Treasure Island, a book she always carried, a reminder of her own childhood adventures. Taking a deep breath, she began to read aloud, weaving a tale of friendship, courage, and the unwavering bond between friends. As the story unfolded, the spectral boy listened intently, a flicker of hope replacing the sorrow in his eyes. The fog seemed to thin, swirling, and dissipating as the story progressed. By the time Erin reached the triumphant ending, the fog had cleared completely. Moonlight bathed the camp in an ethereal glow, and a gentle breeze rustled through the leaves. The boy smiled, a genuine smile filled with gratitude. He turned towards the direction of the setting sun, as if finally at peace. The boy's form shimmered, then faded away, leaving behind only the faint scent of pine needles and the rusted compass lying on the forest floor. Tears welled up in Erin's eyes, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction filling her heart. Leaving Camp Whisperwood behind, they walked towards the town, the night sky ablaze with twinkling stars. Matt, silent for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What did you see?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Erin smiled, a bittersweet feeling lingering in her chest. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Camp Whisperwood no longer held the same dread, but a bittersweet memory. Both Erin and Matt knew they wouldn't forget the night they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of stories to bridge even the most chilling divides. And Erin, clutching the rusted compass, held on to the memory of the boy in the fog, a reminder that even in the darkest corners, a flicker of hope can light the way to peace. The salty spray stung Alex's face as he and Cho steered their rickety sailboat towards Widow's Island. Looming on the horizon like a skeletal claw reaching from the sea, the island was shrouded in local legend. Whispers spoke of a vengeful lighthouse keeper, his spirit forever trapped within the crumbling tower, his mournful cries echoing across the waves. Alex, a budding marine biologist with a thirst for the unexplained, was determined to explore the island. Chloe, his skeptical best friend, followed with a grumbling sigh. As they docked on the rocky shore, an unsettling silence pressed down on them. The island, choked with overgrown vegetation, seemed to hold its breath. The air grew thick with the scent of brine and decay, and the only sound was the rhythmic crash of waves against the jagged rocks. Alex, despite his bravado, felt a shiver crawl up his spine. Following a barely discernible path, they ventured deeper into the island's heart. Crumbling stone cottages hunched together like forgotten memories, their windows dark and empty. Finally, they reached the lighthouse, its once proud beacon now a hollow shell, its glass panes shattered and overgrown with creeping vines. An eerie chill emanated from the tower, and the air crackled with a strange energy. As they approached, a mournful cry tore through the silence, a sound that sent shivers down Alex's spine and made Tro grab his arm instinctively. It was a guttural roar, filled with a profound rage, and it seemed to originate from within the lighthouse itself. Driven by a morbid curiosity, Alex reached for the rusty handle of the heavy oak door. "Maybe we should leave," Tro pleaded, her voice trembling. But Alex, fueled by a desire to understand, pushed the door open with a groan. The interior of the lighthouse was shrouded in darkness, the only light filtering through cracks in the boarded-up windows. The air hung heavy with the smell of mildew and dust. As their eyes adjusted, they saw a figure hunched over a dusty map, its back to them. It was a tall, gaunt man with a long white beard, his clothes tattered and seawater stained. Alex cleared his throat. The figure turned, revealing a face etched with sorrow and anger. Before they could speak, the ghostly figure let out another mournful cry, his voice laced with a lifetime of regret. Memories flooded Alex's mind. A fierce storm, a rogue wave, a lighthouse keeper clinging to the wreckage of his ship. This wasn't a vengeful spirit. It was a man forever reliving the day he lost his life at sea. Alex understood. This apparition wasn't seeking revenge. It was trapped in a loop of despair. Reaching into his backpack, he pulled out a weathered sextant, a family heirloom he always carried, a symbol of his love for the sea. Taking a deep breath, he explained its use, its ability to navigate by the stars. The spectral figure's eyes widened with a flicker of recognition. As Alex spoke, detailing the art of celestial navigation, a look of peace settled on the ghostly face. The mournful cries subsided, replaced by a quiet acceptance. By the time Alex finished explaining, a faint light emanated from the lighthouse, pushing back the spectral chill. The figure smiled, a sad smile tinged with gratitude. He pointed towards the window, revealing the constellation Orion hanging low in the night sky. The spectral figure shimmered, then faded away, leaving behind an empty room with the faint scent of seawater. Tears welled up in Alex's eyes, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction, filling his heart. Leaving Wado's Island behind, they sailed back towards the mainland, the stars twinkling like celestial diamonds on the black canvas of the night sky. Tro, silent for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What happened?" she asked, her voice filled with awe. Alex smiled, a bittersweet feeling lingering in his chest. "Sometimes," he said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Wado's Island no longer held the same dread, but a bittersweet memory. Both Alex and Tro knew they wouldn't forget the night they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of knowledge to guide even the most restless spirits home. And Alex, clutching the weathered sextant, held on to the memory of the lighthouse keeper, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the sea, the stars can offer a path to solace. The rusted carnival Ferris wheel loomed against the blood-red sunset like a skeletal grin. Fireflies blinked their erratic code in the gathering dusk as Maya and Omar pushed open the creaking gate of the abandoned Luna Park. Local legends spoke of the whistling clown, a spectral figure forever trapped within the confines of the park, his mournful tune echoing through the desolate grounds. Maya, an aspiring filmmaker with a fascination for the paranormal, was determined to capture it on camera. Omar, ever the level-headed one, followed with a cautious sigh. As darkness descended, an unsettling silence pressed down on Luna Park. The once vibrant carousel stood frozen in mid-motion, its painted horses leering with grotesque smiles. The air grew thick with the scent of dust and decay, broken only by the mournful hoot of an owl from somewhere in the distance. Maya, her initial bravado dampened by the oppressive atmosphere, shivered despite the warm summer night. Suddenly, a chilling melody pierced the silence, a mournful whistle, rising and falling like a lament. It seemed to emanate from the very heart of the Ferris wheel, its rusted gears whining in an unsettling counterpoint. Driven by a morbid curiosity, Maya pointed her camera towards the ancient contraption. "Let's check it out," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the pounding of her heart. Omar, his face etched with fear, protested, but Maya was already striding forward, her cameraman instincts kicking in. As they neared the Ferris wheel, the air grew colder and the spectral whistles intensified. Suddenly, a wispy figure materialized within the rusted framework, a clown with a painted smile that stretched from ear to ear, his eyes two bottomless pools of sorrow. He held a tarnished whistle in his spectral hand, his mournful tune filling the deserted park. The sight sent a jolt of fear through Maya, but something held her back from running. Memories flooded her mind. A news report from decades ago, a carnival accident, a young clown trapped and crushed within the malfunctioning Ferris wheel. This wasn't a malevolent entity. It was a lost soul forever bound to the place where he died. Maya understood. This apparition wasn't seeking revenge. It was yearning for release. Reaching into her backpack, she pulled out a set of harmonicas, a childhood memento she always carried. Taking a deep breath, she began to play a comforting melody, a slow and gentle counterpoint to the mournful whistle. The spectral clown tilted his head, listening intently. As the music mingled, a sense of peace settled over the abandoned park. The gears of the Ferris wheel turned slower, the mournful groan replaced by a soft whirring. The clown smiled, a sad smile tinged with gratitude. The music faded, and a warm light emanated from the Ferris wheel, pushing back the spectral chill. The clown's form shimmering, slowly faded away, leaving behind an empty gondola and the faint scent of cotton candy. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction, filling her heart. Leaving Luna Park behind, they walked towards the town, the night sky ablaze with twinkling stars. Omar, silent for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What happened?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Maya smiled, a bittersweet feeling lingering in her chest. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Luna Park no longer held the same dread, but a bittersweet memory. Both Maya and Omar knew they wouldn't forget the night they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of music to soothe even the most restless spirits. And Maya, clutching her harmonicas, held on to the melody that had soothed a mournful clown, a melody that would forever be a reminder of the whistling clown. The peeling paint on the whispering pines sign flaked like autumn leaves as Ethan and Sarah trekked through the overgrown path. Towering pines, their branches gnarled and reaching, cast long skeletal shadows in the afternoon sun. Local whispers spoke of the woman in white, a restless spirit set to roam the forest, forever searching for a lost love. Ethan, a budding photographer with a healthy dose of skepticism, scoffed at the legend. Sarah, however, her eyes sparkling with a thrill of anticipation, was determined to find her. As they ventured deeper, the air grew thick and still. Sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, casting an eerie green glow on the forest floor. The only sound was the unsettling chirping of unseen insects and the rhythmic tap-tap-tap of a woodpecker in the distance. An unsettling prickle crawled up Sarah's spine, despite the oppressive heat. Suddenly, a wispy figure materialized amongst the trees, a woman clothed in a tattered white dress, her face obscured by a veil of long dark hair. She let out a mournful cry, a sound that echoed through the silent woods and sent shivers down Sarah's spine. Ethan, his initial bravado fading, grabbed her arm instinctively. Driven by a morbid curiosity, Sarah took a hesitant step forward. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice barely a whisper. The spectral woman turned towards her, a flicker of something akin to hope in her ghostly eyes. Memories flooded Sarah's mind. A faded newspaper clipping tucked away in the town library archives. A story of a young couple lost in a blizzard. The woman vanishing without a trace. This wasn't a malevolent spirit. It was a lost soul yearning for closure. Sarah understood. This apparition wasn't seeking vengeance. It was searching for her love, forever lost in the heart of the Whispering Pines. Reaching into her backpack, she pulled out a well-worn copy of Wuthering Heights, a book she always carried, a reminder of enduring love and the weight of loss. Taking a deep breath, she began to read aloud, weaving a tale of star-crossed lovers and the unwavering bond of the heart. The spectral woman listened intently, her mournful cries subsiding as the story unfolded. The oppressive silence of the forest seemed to soften, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the chirping of returning birds. By the time Sarah finished the final chapter, a faint light emanated from the forest floor, pushing back the spectral chill. The woman smiled, a sad smile tinged with a profound peace. She pointed towards a particularly large pine, its branches reaching towards the sky like gnarled arms. As Sarah and Ethan approached, they saw a small, weathered locket nestled amongst the roots. Inside, a faded photograph depicted a young couple, their faces beaming with happiness. The spectral woman shimmered, then faded away, leaving behind the locket and the faint scent of pine needles. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction filling her heart. Leaving Whispering Pines behind, they walked towards the town, the golden light of the setting sun filtering through the trees. Ethan, speechless for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What happened?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Sarah smiled, a bittersweet feeling lingering in her chest. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Whispering Pines no longer held the same fear, but a bittersweet memory. Both Ethan and Sarah knew they wouldn't forget the day they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of stories to bridge even the most chilling divides. And Sarah, clutching the locket, held on to the memory of the woman in white, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the forest, love can endure, whispering its secrets on the wind. The salty spray stung Camila's face as she and Kai steered their rickety kayak towards Skull Rock, a jagged, volcanic outcropping shrouded in local legend. Whispers spoke of the songbird of the sea, a spectral sailor forever trapped within the rock's cavernous depths, his mournful shanty echoing across the waves. Camilla, an aspiring marine biologist with a fascination for folklore, was determined to record the ghostly melody. Kai, ever the pragmatist, paddled with a grimace. As dusk settled, casting long skeletal shadows on the churning water, an unsettling silence descended. The playful cries of seagulls were replaced by an eerie quiet, broken only by the rhythmic crash of waves against the jagged rocks. Camilla, a shiver crawling up her spine despite the warm summer evening, gripped her recording equipment tighter. Reaching Skull Rock, they found a narrow opening at its base, barely large enough for their kayak. A cold gust of wind emanated from the cavern, carrying with it the faint scent of brine and seaweed. Kai hesitated, his face pale. "Maybe this isn't a good idea," he muttered. Fueled by curiosity, Camilla took a deep breath and steered the kayak into the darkness. The cavern narrowed, sunlight fading until they were enveloped in an inky blackness. An unsettling feeling of being watched pressed down on them. Suddenly, a haunting melody filled the cavern, a melancholic shanty, sung in a voice roughened by the sea. It seemed to emanate from the very heart of the rock, resonating with a profound sadness. Driven by a morbid fascination, Camilla reached for her microphone. As the music filled the cavern, strange bioluminescent algae lining the walls pulsed in rhythm, casting an ethereal glow. Memories flooded Camilla's mind. A storm-ravaged ship, a lone survivor clinging to a piece of driftwood, his song a desperate plea for help. This wasn't a malevolent spirit. It was a lost soul forever reliving his final moments. Camilla understood. This apparition wasn't seeking vengeance. It was yearning for solace. Reaching into her dry bag, she pulled out a handmade kelp whistle, a gift from her grandfather, a seasoned sailor himself. Taking a deep breath, she began to play a calming melody, a gentle counterpoint to the mournful shanty. The spectral sailor's song softened, the raw desperation replaced by a flicker of hope. As the music mingled, a sense of peace settled over the cavern. The bioluminescent glow intensified, pushing back the spectral chill. The sailor materialized within the glowing light, a weathered face etched with sorrow and gratitude. The music faded, and the spectral sailor smiled, a sad smile tinged with acceptance. He pointed towards a hidden crevice in the rock wall, then shimmered and faded away. Inside the crevice, Camilla found a tarnished spyglass, its lens still reflecting the distant horizon. Leaving Skull Rock behind, they paddled back towards the mainland, the stars twinkling like celestial diamonds on the black canvas of the night sky. Kai, silent for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What happened?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Camilla smiled, a bittersweet feeling lingering in her chest. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Skull Rock no longer held the same dread, but a bittersweet memory. Both Camilla and Kai knew they wouldn't forget the night they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of music to reach even the most restless spirits across the vast expanse of the sea. And Camilla, clutching the tarnished spyglass, held on to the memory of the songbird of the sea, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the ocean, a song of sorrow can find solace in the melody of understanding. The rusted iron gates of Blackwood Manor groaned in protest as Emilia and Javier pushed them open. Moonlight cast long, skeletal shadows across the overgrown lawn, and the dilapidated mansion loomed before them like a decaying tooth. Local legends spoke of the Midnight Artist, a restless spirit said to haunt the manor's dusty halls, forever searching for a lost masterpiece. Emilia, an aspiring artist with a thirst for the unexplained, was determined to find him. Javier, ever the voice of reason, followed with a muttered sigh. As midnight approached, an unsettling stillness descended upon Blackwood Manor. The mournful hoot of an owl echoed through the broken windows, and the air grew thick with the scent of dust and decay. Each creak of the floorboards and groan of the ancient house amplified the oppressive atmosphere. Amelia, despite her bravado, felt a shiver crawl up her spine. Guided by a flickering flashlight, they navigated a labyrinth of dusty hallways and empty rooms. Cupboards draped like ghostly shrouds, and peeling wallpaper hung from the damp walls. With each step, the weight of the manor's history pressed down on them. Deep within the east wing, they stumbled upon a grand studio. Moonlight streamed through a gaping hole in the roof, illuminating a canvas stand holding a single, unfinished painting. The brushstrokes were bold and expressive, depicting a swirling vortex of emotions. A prickling sensation ran down Emilia's spine, as if the painting itself held a trapped energy. Suddenly, a wispy figure materialized beside the canvas, a man with a paint-stained smock and eyes filled with a profound sorrow. He reached out a spectral hand, his touch sending a jolt through Emilia. In his hand he held a well-worn palette, its colors faded with time. Memories flooded Emilia's mind. A news report from decades ago, a fire that ravaged Blackwood Manor, a renowned artist presumed lost within the flames. This wasn't a malevolent spirit. It was a lost soul yearning to complete his final masterpiece. Emilia understood. This apparition wasn't seeking revenge. It was yearning to leave his mark on the world. Reaching into her backpack, she pulled out a well-worn sketchbook, a constant companion filled with her own dreams and aspirations. Taking a deep breath, she flipped through the pages, shading her own artwork with the spectral artist. The spectral artist's eyes widened with a flicker of recognition. As they looked through the sketchbook, a sense of connection bloomed between them, a shared language of passion and creativity. The oppressive atmosphere of the studio seemed to lighten, replaced by a quiet understanding. By the time Emilia reached the last page, a faint light emanated from the unfinished painting, pushing back the spectral chill. The artist smiled, a sad smile tinged with gratitude. He dipped his spectral brush into the faded paints on his palette, completing a single final stroke on the canvas. The light intensified momentarily. When Emilia opened her eyes, the studio was empty. Moonlight bathed the room in an ethereal glow, and the unfinished painting now depicted a completed masterpiece, a swirling vortex of emotions, now imbued with a newfound sense of peace. Leaving Blackwood Manor behind, they walked towards the sunrise, the first rays of light chasing away the night shadows. Javier, speechless for most of the journey, finally spoke. "What happened?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Emilia smiled, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction playing on her lips. "Sometimes," she said, "the most chilling encounters hold the most profound stories." Blackwood Manor no longer held the same dread, but a bittersweet memory. Both Emilia and Javier knew they wouldn't forget the night they helped a lost soul find peace, a testament to the power of art to bridge even the most chilling divides. And Emilia, clutching her sketchbook, held on to the memory of the midnight artist, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the soul, a single brushstroke can complete a masterpiece.